When we get to the Menachem story, it's hard not to think about Torah Meloshen Hara, how it applies to us today. Since you're telling a story about 50 years of Yerushalayim, so they had published the story several weeks ago in the Kfar Chabad magazine. There was a gentleman that was sent by he was running the office of the Tzar Chinuch Yigal Alon in Israel. So Yigal Alon had this plan about this is in the early 70s about rebuilding Hebron. So yeah, he thought if the Lubavitcher Rebbe will go out with a call, that his Chassidim should go to Hebron, there would be a big push. So he asked this fellow, who was his right-hand man, to travel to New York to have an audience with the Rebbe. He said he had an audience with the Rebbe at 3 o'clock in the morning. He had an hour Yechidus. So he said that he had the plan, and he started telling the whole thing, that Rebbe should make 1,000 in the light. And he said, Yigal Alon had this idea because Chabad and Hebron are synonymous. Chabad was very strong in Hebron till the massacre in sure, there was half of Hebron was Chabad, and the Rebbe Rashab owned the house there, and the grandmother of half of Hebron was the Rebbetzin Menachem Rochel, the daughter of the Alter Rebbe, who moved there. Right, it's 150 years ago. She's buried there. Okay, a lot of Chabad history in Hebron. The Rebbe listened. He said the whole plan till the end. At the end, the Rebbe said, "Vuvel Zelem, where they going to live?" He said, "Well, naturally, in Kiryat Arba, Israel was planning to build a little city right outside of Hebron, Kiryat Arba." The Rebbe said, "No." He said, "What's the problem?" The Rebbe said, "The Israeli government will send all the Arabs out of Hebron. I will tell all my Chassidim to move into Hebron." So he said, "Respectfully, I'd like to ask Lubavitcher Rebbe, where should we send the Arabs?" The Rebbe said, "To Gaza." He said, "What? This will be an uproar, international uproar. What will America say?" No one cares.
Those days they didn't care.
The Rebbe, that's what the Rebbe said, everybody like this. And then all of a sudden he said, the Rebbe got up. It's like frightening. The Rebbe got up and he beat and he was thundering. The Rebbe said, they killed the Jews, they took over their houses, and now they're going to live peacefully in Hebron? He said, Israel is Israel. America, no one in the world cares. The Rebbe said that all the nations of the world after 67 expected that Israel will now rightfully declare sovereignty over natural borders. And he said, when Israel sent quietly, the Rebbe said that they tried to make to cover it up, but he knows that secretly Israel sent right after the victory in 67 a communication to Washington that they're willing to have peace talks. The Rebbe says he knows from the inside, the United States government, they thought that this was a ploy from Israel. They didn't believe that Israel would be. They said the Israelis are very smart. It's not shaykh that Israel would do such a thing. Why would they want? The Arabs didn't believe it. But when they kept on sending 3 and 4 communications, it was the Americans gave the message to the Arabs, to Moscow, and that's when the Arabs said, "Oy bazoi, who needs peace? Give it back to us," and that was it. This is the story of the Menachem. This is the story of the Menachem. Now, the Menachem story has so many angles, but today, the Menachem is the one that are the Jews who go into Eretz Yisrael. They see the task is so big, there's so many enemies, and they come back and say, "We can't do it." But if we have B'tochen, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us that we could do it, then we could do it. So the Rebbe has incredibly sweet, it's like jars full of honey, explanations about the story of the Menachem's applications to today, not only in politics, but in Avodas Hashem to every one of us. Not only what Bibi Netanyahu should do and what the Israeli government should do in Israel, but what me and you should do with our goyim, the goyim that surround us in here and around here, and how we should deal with our goyim and our challenges. There's a lot in the story of the Menachem. Today we will take a sweet sikha on a little Yerushalmi that deals with the story of the Menachem. Before we start, I mean, it's like history repeats itself. You know, people are disappointed with the President of the United States. The President of the United States is not the President of Israel. He's the President of the United States. He's a person who's a businessman. He just wants to do what's good for himself. He gave Israel, and if you heard his speech before he got even to Israel, he was very much in favor of Israel. But you can't expect him to be... He is the President of the United States. He's a businessman. He wants what's good for him. Israel has to say that this is the land that the Rebbeinu Shalom gave to us. He gave it to us at Mount Sinai. He promised it to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And we have to really believe in it. And we say it clearly, then the Rebbeinu Shalom will help. And that's how we will have Atzlocha. But you know, when the President of the United States comes and he hears this drosh and that drosh, and that's what happens. It starts in us. Like Shmulik just said, the Menachem said, "Vayin and Benenu b'Chagovim," we're small grasshoppers in our own eyes. When the President of the United States comes to Israel and he gets the feeling that the Israelis feel like grasshoppers, so that's, you know, you want to eat them up. Let's deal with one little issue here in the story of the Menachem. 4 lines from the top in the big lines. First word is Shel Menachem. Vayeshuva metura oretz meketzer boim yon. They came back from searching the land after 40 days. Vayelchu vayavoyu al Moshe. The Gemara says, Atun ashkachinun asikin behilchis Chala ve'orla. When they came back from the 40 days, they saw the Jews were sitting and learning the halachas of Chala and Orla. Omru lahen, they said to the Jews, Lo'oretz einatem nichnosim. You're not going into the land. Atam asukim behilchas Chala ve'orla. You're wasting your time. You're not going into the land.
Chala is a shaykh here too.
B'derabbanan, not b'deraisa. You're going into the. If you're not going into the land, why are you learning this? They started to cry. How does the Gemara know this story? Korban Eidos is very simple. Gemara Gemira, it's halacha l'Moshe Messina, this story, because we don't see the Suka in the story. True that right after the story of the Menachem, the Eibush tells them the halachas of Chala, but still, I mean, what's the connection here? And not the story of Orla. He said Gemara Gemira. But what really is the connection here? So the Rebbe Akiva Eger on the side is a Moira de Kipshat. Many Meforshim say.
They didn't came back to Moshe, they came back to the Jewish people.
It says, well, Kol B'nai Yisrael, we're going back. It says they came back to Moshe and Kol B'nai Yisrael.
No, the problem was they came back to Bnei Yisrael, not to Moshe Rabbeinu. Not they came to Moshe Rabbeinu, it'll be a different story.
Okay, the Mendikim is not the Pasuk, it's weiter. Atun Ashkechun, they came and they found, Asikim Bilchas Chala V'Orla. Amru Lahen, Lord, it's in the Nechnas, Vat Asuk Bilchas Chala V'Orla, but yet the Tiskoloida, the Situ, Skolam, V'Yikul V'Om B'Layla. And they wish to punish them. Amr lehen atam b'chisam l'pana b'chiyashol tiflus. He cried for no reason. Oh, hasidim atam livkes b'chiyashol ma'umesh. It says in the posuk, bov choy tivke b'layla.
Oh, wait, why does it b'chiyashol tiflus? They were happy. They wanted to go to Eretz Yisrael, and these guys came. It was like to see him. They can't forget about it. So they were crying. That's something not. That's not a bad thing. They wanted to go to Eretz Yisrael, and here these guys say you can't go.
Excellent.
So it's not the tiflis. It's
Here, it's a good question. Look at the Gilyon Hashas. Isa b'pnei Moshe. I'm pnei Moshe. Okay. V'nira. Tenokat Hani. Why did he say these two? The Fishakol HaMitzvahs that Tluy is Bore, it's Loi Nischai V'el L'achar Yerusha V'Yeshiva. All the mitzvahs in Eretz Yisrael, they have to wait for the 14 years of Yerusha V'Yeshiva. So they weren't obligated in all the mitzvahs that are obligated, that are chayiv in Eretz Yisrael, in the day they moved in. It took 14 years till they got to that obligation. Masha'en ken Chala, the ksiv bevoyachem, Meshuna bin Azu, v'chein orla n'schayv, av koidim shekovshu, ein orla perek alef Mishnah Beis, v'ayin benida daf mem zayin alef. The Gemara says, I bevoyachem yochel shenichnasu shnayim v'shlosha meraglim tamaloymar, bevies kulchem ein sham, v'zeu she'omrim la'oretz yatem nichnasum, da'adayin lo hoyarag, bi'ez k'tzosam, and therefore that was the pshat. So basically, what Rabbi Kiva is saying is very simple. Why does the Gemara say these two? What's unique about Chala v'Orla? Because Chala v'Orla was something that they immediately need as soon as they go into Eretz Yisrael. Trumas, Maises, all these other things are not negay for another 14 years. What was negay the day they came in is right away the halachas of Chala and the halachas of Orla. So, I mean, you could learn it on several ways. Obviously, the Jews thought they were about to go into Eretz Yisrael, so they were learning halachas that are important. And what is it we're trying to emphasize? What is the Gemara trying to bring out? When you have a yearning for something and you don't get it, it's very painful. If someone doesn't care, easy come, easy go. There's no pain. There's nothing. But if a person is yearning for something and then he loses it, it's a great pain. So they were yearning to go into Eretz Yisrael, and then they lost it, so it's a great pain. The Shaila the Rebbe asks is, how do we learn this Api Pnimis HaTorah? And also Api Nigla is not fully understood. I understand why the Yidden were learning the halachas of Chala v'Orla. I understand. But when the Meraglim were talking, they should have just said, you know what? You are learning about the halachas of Eretz Yisrael. La'oretz einatem nechnasem v'atem asukim behilches Eretz Yisrael. Why would the Meraglim emphasize this thing?
The Meraglim told them that?
Yeah, the Menachem said. So why was it important for the Menachem to say these words? Atam Asukim. She said, Atam Asukim be'ilchas atluis be'adarabit, to say, you're not going in there to Israel. Even the halachas that are in 14 years are not negayah. But why did they say dafka these words? Atam. What's the pshat in the words of the Menachem? Why did the Menachem try to emphasize the fact that the Yidden were learning halachas Chala and Orla? I understand. They're about to go into Eretz Yisrael. They thought that's important to learn. Why does the Gemara emphasize it? I understand, because the chukka was so big. The Gemara is trying to bring out that the bechiyah was so great. But in the words of the Meraglim are saying to the Yid, La'orez einatam nechnasim v'atam asukim be'ilches Chala v'Orla. And what's if they're asukim be'ilches Ma'aser Sheni and be'ilches Truma Gedoyla? Or behilches netarevoi, and behilches ma'isa behema, and behilches b'choy. I mean, why is the emphasis in the words of the Meraglim of Chala and Orla? That's the shaila. The Rebbe says like this.
Why dafka Chala and Orla?
Yeah, why did the Meraglim emphasize it? Why the Jews were learning these halachas? I understand, because they were about to go into Eretz Yisrael. And they want to know the halachas that are in the gay for right now. I understand why the Jews will learn, and why the Gemara emphasizes it is to show the big loss, because they were yearning to go into Israel and they lost it. I understand. But why when the Meraglim said, L'oretzi atem nichnasim, they should have just said, L'oretzi atem nichnasim, v'atem asukim, behilches hakluyis b'oretz. What's the gay Chala and Orla?
I want to re-emphasize it. The reason is Chala, they said that that's what we're learning. But they want that Meraglim are trying to give a message. The message actually would be a lot better if they're telling halachas Eretz Yisrael, the whole thing's not negayah. That's the point of what they're trying to tell them.
Exactly.
So that it's not. So the Pasha, that's what they said they're learning. So they're asking. But the point they want to make is a lot greater than that. So that's the greater point. Let them say the whole thing.
Exactly. the Rebbe explains like this. Just why when the Yid is in this world, there's two jobs. There's avodas habirurim. We have to purify this world. There's two parts in avodas habirurim. When we purify the world, there's two parts. There is avodas habirurim of noiga, the klippa that you could break through, and there is shalosh klippas atmeis. There are two opposite ways of how you do the beer. Pork, how do you mavar a chazan, right? How do you mavar orlok, lo yakerim? How do you mavar those things? By not engaging it, right? By not eating it. When Yid is tempted to eat orla and he doesn't eat orla, with that he purifies the tutzah kedusha that are here. And on the other hand, something that's kosher, how does he eat? He eats it l'shem shamayim, and he makes a brocha, and he declares the shahakol niya b'devoroi. These are the two. There's the birur b'derech piruv and ichum. There is the things that I eat l'shem shamayim, and the things that I don't eat l'shem shamayim. I'm tempted to eat it. It smells really good. They say it tastes good. Clams are delicious. Not for me. What? Torah says not to eat it. But this, so the Shabbos, I'm going to eat it l'shem shamayim, and that's birur. These are two types of birurim. That's the difference of chala and orla. What's chala? Chala is that we take the first dough, that we have a dough, the first piece we take. What do we give it? The kohen. That from this we learned the moida'ani. In the morning you're fresh, you wake up. You trust the Eibusher with your neshama. You sleep like a baby. Machaya, the Eibusher will take care of me. Wake up in the morning, the Eibusher give back the neshama. I said, Rabban Shalom, thank you for giving me the neshama. Moida nilu fanecha. Thank you for giving me the neshama. What do we do right after Moida'ani? Nagelwasser. What's Nagelwasser? We learned yesterday in the Shir. Right? And one of the things is Kekoyin. Why the Alter Rebbe says? Because in the morning, when the Eibusher gave me back my neshama, why did the Eibusher give me neshama? To serve him. So first thing, I'm dedicating myself to the service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm washing my hands like a kohen that's going into the base of Mikdash. So I wash Nagelwasser. So that's the din of Truma. Reishu Sarusa Seichem. The first thing in the morning, dedicate a little bit of time to learning Torah. The first, when we have a child, that Rebbe a very strong shitta, that even if the schools are learning secular studies, the first thing in the morning they have to learn Limudei Kodesh. The head is fresh in the morning. The first piece of challah you take has to be for the kohen. That's the union of avodas habirurim of klippas noiga, where you purify it and you elevate it l'shem shamayim b'derech kiruv. You're taking it in. Then there's orla. What is orla? We don't eat it. We burn it. We push it away. That's shalosh klippas atmeis. Over there, the birur is by pushing it away, not by taking it in. Everything in this world has the tzitz of kedusha. The Rebbe told in Shushan Purim Tafshin Yodalet, the Rebbe, that Tzchein, it was the Rav in Chernigiv. Chernigiv then was a big city. He was a Goen Otzum. He was a Goen Otzum. Still sitting along with his grandson. Olam Azeda was here. You remember a few years ago in the Suka. So he said from his father a story that that Tzchein, that when he was getting older, so he used to learn all night. And then he used to sleep 2-3 hours. But he used to learn. He used to stand by midday. He used to learn by night. And by day he was busy. He was at when she learned by night, he would learn. But he got older. He got tired at night. So he went to the Rebbe Marash. I said, what to do? What can he do? He's getting tired. He's sleeping. But the night is for learning. When he's getting tired, he's falling asleep. So the Sefer, he's falling asleep. The Rebbe Marash said that right before he starts learning, you should take a glass, fill it up with Zex 9 Sekeh. Shahaku, down the whole cup. Then he'll be able to be up all night. That's what he did to it. Sometimes Tzaddikim also have a sense of humor.
That was a sense of humor. That was Emerson.
That was Emerson. That's what he did. But usually, most people is when you take a Zex 9, you end up you fall asleep. You're under the table. You have a headache. A glass of Zeksenheinske, he did that every night. Take a glass, and then he used to learn all night.
What was his name?
Reb David Tzvi Chaim. He was,
In Israel, when you have Rav Chaim, the street of Chaim.
could be for his, I think it's a grandson of his. He was a Moededik Goin. He was friends with the Goinim Atzumim. He was friends with Reb Chaim Brisker. He was friends with the Rogatch. He was a Goin Otzum. He died, he left over a very prestigious family. There, I think the Einiglach.
There's two things.
It's a big mishpacha. So, a big miyuchosim there from the times of the Gyoinim. One of the, so there was the one of the last kings of Russia. So he was traveling in every town. Like people came out to greet him. He was known to be a shikr Goyim. And David Tzvi, that the king is coming, so he said that you should take out the Sefer Torah to greet the king, and he went, put on the Shabbos clothing, and when he saw the king is coming, it was a procession, the king is coming, so he put his hands over his eyes and he started saying, Boruch Yisrael Kavona Asher Kedushonim Kenim Elchanim Shechorlak Mechachmosoi Lebasav Adam, and all the killers said, oh man, and there was a Jew that was, it was a left-wing Jew who had just assassinated his right-hand man, the Stolipin, and now he hears that the Jewish rabbi is screaming, and everyone's saying, "Oh man!" He got frightened. He stepped back and he asked the police, "What's going on over here?" So they told him, "Don't worry, it's the old rabbi. He's just making a blessing for you." Oh, okay, fine. So after the whole incident was over, then Adatz went back home. So his nephew, he was a little ungeklärt. He was a Moscow. He was already not the old, the old style people. He said, Feta, come on. You made so much kavona abrocha as if, making noise in a toida. The Vesnish, the Zar is a shikar goy. Because he was a progressive in the left wing. These people, they wanted the Zar out. Naturally. So the David Tzvi said to his nephew, Petach. You think I'm making a bracha for the shikar goy? Hotach hamalach in Himmel. So hotach hasar in Himmel. So everything we see in this world, it's not the banana, it's not the cookie. There's nitzutas kedusha in it. So we see the nitzutas kedusha. Chala is where we take it l'shem shamayim. That's the Indian of Chala. We take the first piece and we give it to the Eibishter. The first piece we give it to the Kohen. That's birur, which is bringing it close, and then there is birurim where we push it away, which is orla. These are the two types of birurim that we do. There's two ways of doing that, so that already explains what was the Indian of these two halachas, Chala and orla. Because in general, the Indian of learning Torah is to purify the world, and there's two basic things in purifying the world. There's hilchas Chala and hilchas orla. There's what we pick up and we eat l'shem shamayim, we do l'shem shamayim. There's what we push away l'shem shamayim. Chala we take l'shem shamayim, and orla we push away l'shem shamayim. How do we do avodas Hashem? It could be in two ways: Talmud Yerushalmi and Talmud Bavli. Yerushalmi, everything was clear. Tochazi, come and see. Everything they see godliness. They could see with their eyes. Bavli, Toshma, let's hear. They don't see it. Everything is Toshma. Every daf in Gemara, Toshma. Let me hear what you have to say. You don't see it because over there is like the Gemara says. In Sanhedrin, b'machshakim moishivan is a Talmud Bavli. Over there is choshech, and they're always arguing, and there's kashas and answers, and kashas and kashas and kashas, and pilpul and kashas and pilpul, because the light is not shining; it's in a valley.
Bavli was first.
Bavli was later. Yerushalmi was earlier. But besides that, in the Pichsidus, Yerushalmi is in a higher level. Because Yerushalmi is tochazi. You see everything, like in the Zoya, tochazi. You see godliness. There's not a little question answer. There's not such a shakla v'taya.
Not too much machloikas.
Not so much machloikas. Why? Because over there the godliness was, the Rotzna Kodesh Baruch Hu was clear. Mashenk in the Bavli, the Rotzna Kodesh Baruch Hu was less clear. It was more klippus. So they have to be more argument and more yigiyah to get there. However, there's a mila through the Meshakim Machshavan. At the end is the halach is like the Bavli, not like the Yerushalmi. Because they sweat, the sweat and tears, they got to the depth of the Torah and they were machavan to the halach. So what happened? The Meraglim said In other words, there's two types of way of learning Torah. And within the learning Torah, there's two types of birurim. There's Chala and Orla. But the way you do Chala and Orla, it could be in the way of Talmud Yerushalmi. You can learn halachas ta'ach. There's halachas Chala and Orla in Yerushalmi. There's halachas Chala and Orla in Bavli. What's the difference of Chala and Orla in Yerushalmi? Yerushalmi, it's at a higher level. Bavli is at a lower level. Yerushalmi is in Eretz Yisrael. Bavli is in Chutz La'aretz. They said, the La'aretz i'atam nichnasim. You're not going into Yerushalmi. You're staying out in the Bavli, in Chutz La'aretz. That's where you're going to do Chala v'Orla. You can do Berurim on a lower level, not on a higher level. So for that, the Eden cried, because Yerushalmi is lichtig. There's a story that I saw recently. Someone was there at the last dollars that the Rebbe gave out, Chavov Adar Rishon Toshin Beis. He said there was a Yid went over. He said Rebbe, he asked a brocha for a cousin. He said, so the Rebbe said, what's the name? He said, the name is Shlomo Benita. The Rebbe, like he didn't hear. The Rebbe said, what's the name? He said, Shlomo Benita. Third time. The Rebbe said, what's the name? Is it maybe Sholem? He said, oh, Rabbi, you're right. They call him Saul. But really his name is Sholem. Oh, you're right. You're right, Rabbi.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
In Yerushalmi, everything was tochazi. You could see everything. You could see. It was clear. It was clear. Bavli, you don't see everything. It looks. So therefore, that was the pain. The pain was they thought they're going into Eretz Yisrael and they're going to learn the halachas of Chala and the halachas of Orla on the higher level of Yerushalmi. Said no, you're going to do it in Bavli. However, also in Bavli, there's something unique, because at the end, when a Yid goes down to the lowest place and purifies the lowest place of the world, he has a great elevation for this. So therefore, there's a letter that a Yid wrote to the Rebbe. He said that he was never 6 years in prison. He learned the Temchat Mimim, and he was meshamish b'kodesh by the Frierdiker Rebbe. And he was right. He said at the end of his letter, he wrote, "I had a miserable life." He said, "Kol yemei shnoi saidoim." My whole life was just like one tzora after another tzora. So he wrote. The Rebbe wrote back a letter. The Rebbe said, "You say you learned 6 years in Temchat Mimim. You had the schus to 6 years in jail for abotzas hatoira. You're meshamish b'kodesh, my father-in-law. That you call Kol Yimei Shnoi Seiroim? Is there anything better in this world? Is there anything better in this world? So really, there is a bechia that could be a negative bechia, but sometimes we find in Chazal there is a good bechia. There is a good bechia. We find Rabbi Akiva is all going at the Mos because he was masak such deep soidus HaTorah.
Bechia shel simcha.
There's bechia shel simcha. A person. There is.
So he wasn't in good health. Really, very good. His whole life. He writes in his biographies. He was weak.
Yeah.
He wasn't. Still.
I heard the story.
I
I heard the story from Shron, the rich guy Shron. Somebody told me he heard the story from him. He went to the kotel and he see an old man crying. So he went over to him and said, "You need some money? Why are you crying?" "Continue crying." So he said, "Tell me, why are you crying? You need money? Or I have to marry someone?" He said, "I just married last week my 15th child. I'm crying for the simcha." That's the kind of simcha.
So let's summarize. The Kitzer. So we have here the Meraglim come back to the camp of Eden, and the Gemara says that we're learning halachas of Chala and Orla. They say so again, the Rebbe's pshat is, what's the unique about Hilchas Chala v'Orla? Because that's avodas habirudim. It's meramas to do two things in avodas habirudim. Chala is to elevate the kedusha in a way of taking it in, taking the top piece of Chala, the best part of the day, and giving it to the Eibishter. Orla is pushing it away. And now there's two ways of learning Hilchas Chala and Hilchas Orla. One is in the higher level of the Yerushalmi, and then there's a lower level of learning it in the way of Talmud Bavli. The way of Yerushalmi is a himmel de keveg of learning. In Manchester, there was a very choshev Lubavitcher chossev. His name was Yitzchak Dubov. He was teaching Tanya in the yeshiva with
Maybe more the wolf in Crown Heights.
I could be Zelenikal, I'm not sure. Not a great grandson. So he said that the Tovreish Samaches, the Rebbe was a little child, he was 5 or 6 years old. He was with a friend, he was in he happened to be in Yekaterinoslav, and he went to visit the Rav in the city. The Rav in the city was in the park with his 2 sons. One was playing in the grass, and the other one was sitting up. And he's sitting and he's reading Likutei Torah to them. So these were 2 Talmidim in the yeshiva. They asked the Rav, the kids understand what's going on in the Likutei Torah? They thought it was a joke. So Rabbi Leivik said, man, look, what the gehet. So the little child that was 6 years old started to say over everything that was on that page in the Likutei Torah. It was the Rebbe, 6 years old, in the park. The chazes over everything. So Yerushalmi is an underweg. It's everything is lichtig. So the Eden were crying that now they're not going to be learning it in Talmud. Yerushalmi, they'll be learning in Bavli. But the emphasis that even though in Bavli it goes down to a very low place, but Dafke in the lower place is where the Yid, sometimes Dafke in the Yerushalmi, the Yid goes down as Dafke when the Yid gets his big aliyah. So that's the pshat. The bottom line is that we learn from this. That really, sometimes we cry. We would love that life should be simple. That things should be easy. That we should learn the halachas of Chala and Orla on the Yerushalmi level. But so trefft sich, the Eibusher doesn't want it. Sometimes the Eibusher wants we should learn it on the Bavli level. But just because we're learning it on the Bavli level, it doesn't mean that we're getting shortchanged. Dafke, because we're learning it on the Bavli level, we're getting to a much higher level. In the early years, all the years, I remember the Rebbe used to want in the Shabbos Bereshis, they should sell the mitzvahs. So the Gabi in 770 used to put on a Streimel, tell the story, at Torah, is to sell the mitzvahs. So one of the early years, Gabi in 770, so told the following story. The Rizusha Vanapola had a daughter. She was getting older and older. He can't marry. He doesn't have any money to marry his daughter. The Maggid called him. He gave him money. He said, "You go back home and marry off your daughter." Okay. The Rebbe gave him the money. Going back home. He stopped in the town. It was a bachia. There was someone that was about to marry off his daughter. He collected a lot of money, and he disappeared. The money disappeared. Someone must have stolen the money. And the guy kept on chalashing. Didn't know what to do. So Zusha immediately stepped up and he said, "Oh, I have the money." So they brought him to the Siyah date, and he said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah." He started counting the money and counting. Gave him and then it came the last matbeya, the last thing that he had. He said, "This I'm not giving you." So they said, "What? You're not giving it to Aganav? And you're not returning the whole Gneva?" They gave him a few schmitz, they tied him up, they really roughed him up. But he was not going to give it. He was not taking that money out of his pocket. Kids, there was a big tumult about it. The Maggid heard about it, so he sent the rest of the money, and he asked that Abzusha should come back. When Abzusha came back, so the Maggid said, "I understood that if you were going to go and if you're going to see a Yid that's in Tsar, you're going to give away the money." What was this? What was the shtick with the last coin that you didn't want to give? You made a whole shturim over this. So the Zusha said, "Rebbe, what do you expect? Tana mitzvah and bleib na shena yidoich? You want I should do a mitzvah and then get it should be called a shena yid. They should get complimented, patted on the back." So in other words, the Gabi was saying, if you're buying the mitzvahs of the 70, don't expect that later you're going to get, they're going to put you a mizrach. That was the point. So when he told the story, they said that they would burst out in a big smile. I like the story. So sometimes in life we think we'd like to learn Hilchas Chala and Orla and the Yerushalmi, Machaya. nice, it's easy, there's no difficulty, there's no kashas, there's no toras. The Eibishter makes it easy for us, but Amol the Eibishter wants it the other way. And Dafka that way, Mashakim and Shemani, we have a lot of atzlocha.
Did you sold it with a lot of money?
Huh?
The Gabbai sold it big money?
I heard that story.
I'm not sure.
I heard that story. It wasn't really the Ganaim, it was his own money that he gave.
Okay, David shall help from Avodas Hashem. All the Nala v'Yarash Noisa.
Amen.
Saying about somebody